Hey guys, so for the last few days, I have been seeing a lot of discussions regarding Daddy Freeze and the service of songs of Alex, and this being a very sensitive topic, we're gonna tread very carefully. A lot of people had a problem with his outfit showing up in black, which of course is always going to look weird, and I am a fan of watching the full story, So I went to his page, I watched the full live just to see exactly what he was talking about. That was an hour video. Whew. And yes, he did cover a lot of topics, and he did cover one part which you guys know me, my opinions about pastors. I know that not all pastors are bad. I know there are a lot of great ones, but yes, I kind of follow with that. But in this life, everything is about timing. You see, a lot of times we think that we have the right to speak whatever we want and do whatever we want. Me, I tell stories, and I never speculate. I always try to go with exactly what people serve us on the internet, and we have discussions. But I'm sorry, in my opinion, there would never in this life be a right moment to discuss the arrangements a family takes on somebody's funeral. Never be. And I know his friends came in there and tried to justify the behavior, so let's get into it. Now, he comes out to apologize about his outfit, and I get that. He should have kept it short, simple. It didn't have to be a live video. Where I have a problem is I never take anyone seriously that has a but after the apology. I apologize, I didn't know, but the second you include buts in an apology, that apology is completely cancelled because you still do not get to the point. Now, one thing in life that will forever be for sure is the fact that each and every one of us, regardless of date, time, place, age, we are all going to leave this earth. We're all going to die. I know it is a very sensitive discussion and people don't like to talk about it. We love to live in la la land thinking that we're all going to make it to 90, 100, which, by the way, being 100 years old doesn't even make sense. And also, if your economic status is not right, then you're just dragging your suffering, That is the only thing that is guaranteed. But the day and the time and the place, it will never be guaranteed. People, they had discussions even with his friends online. They had a conversation of, oh, but it's not his time. If God was real, why did he take him? Blah, 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 blah. It was a whole thing. And then they made a whole ruckus about, it's our tradition not to celebrate the young ones. That is your opinion. That is your tradition. There would never be a time in life that I feel like because a person passed away young, that they shouldn't be celebrated, even for 1-2 years on earth. There would never be a time in life that you shouldn't celebrate those people. Like I said, the illusion is that we're all going to make it to 100, but it's not reality. Now, I believe that if you're a true friend of Alex, true friend, I'm talking about close friends, and first of all, the service of songs should have been strictly for true friends, not just anybody that just happened to have shook his hand along the way. It should have been about true friends. There's a certain hurt, there's a certain pain you feel in your chest the day you receive that invitation card. You realize that that's the last invitation you would ever receive on the idea of this is from your friend. So there's a certain kind of tenderness you would approach that invitation with. You look at it, you try to analyze, okay, you see the location, you see the time, and there's a sorrow you feel. And there's no way you will ever skip a dress code. No way. Now, if you're just an associate and somebody who just shook hands with him, of course you will say you skipped the thing. Now, your apology is, I apologize, but in my defense, I am used to wearing black or native. That is a you problem. That is a you problem. The one blessing Alex's family had, and Alex also had, is knowing that the end is near. All of us are just moving around not knowing when the end will come. It could be tonight. I could take a nap right now and it could be over just like that in a blink of an eye. The blessing he had is knowing that there is an end point. It could be in a week, it could be in a month, but it's coming. From what his family knows about him, he's he worships a lot. He always sings hymns. He's very godly in that sense, And that gave him the blessing and the opportunity to plan what his ideal funeral will be. That was his rights and his last rights on earth. Now, you do not know what he and his family sat down and discussed. He could have said, you know what? I don't want people to wear black because it's not going to reflect positively on my life. I want it to feel more like a celebration of life instead of a loss of life. You know, I'm young, I'm vibrant. I don't want the whole black situation. Please, can you all just wear white for me? And his family will be like, okay, let's do that. You know what? I don't want no sad hymns. I would like hymns that represent who I am, worship, praise. Let people rejoice, let people smile because they were part of my story, my life. And that's why they probably made, you call it a concert. These are the wishes of the family, and that's the only wish that should ever be discussed. He also said, you know what, I don't want the public, because he already felt what the public did to him. I don't want the public to be so involved in my life. And yet on that day, I see a lot of people trying so hard to film his family, to see who's the wife in there. That is disrespectful. A lot of you did not go to that service of song with good intentions, and a lot of you were not his friends, because there is no true friend under the sun. Even if you notice something that did not fit your standards, it is not your place to discuss. Not everything in life has to be discussed. And it's even the aura in which you say, sorry to the family, but I wouldn't. It's not your place. At a certain point in life, at a certain age, we should know how to differentiate between right timing and off timing. If you're his friend, go there. See, listen, I am very strong on what I say when it comes to pastors. I share that belief with you. I do not play when I say pastors do not lead us to God. They lead us to their investments. They lead us to their own personal business. It has nothing to do with God. I stand on that, and people abuse me on that, and I don't care. I stand on that because if you would know the difference. But again, in Nigeria, we have a herd mentality, way of thinking. We love to follow the bandwagon. Okay, see, my words are all twisted, But again, if I had a friend that passed away and I was invited to a celebration in church or this kind of celebration, I would keep my mouth shut, because what I personally feel has nothing to do with the life he lived. It has nothing to do with his desires. It has nothing to do with anything. The family did what their son wanted, and that should be bottom line. For you to go to an event and start for an hour, you broke down every single part of that event, was honestly heartbreaking and disappointing, because you should know better. You should know better. If you want to speak about pastors on a normal day, which you do, go ahead, but know your timing. You literally broke down every bit and piece of their event and turned it into a spectacle. First of all, you coming in black is so disrespectful. Let's even be real, because now I'm even getting upset. You took away the attention from the family mourning and from the people talking to yourself. It now became an all about you moment, which shouldn't be. It shouldn't have been. And then you sat down and broke down, oh, well, if you see how they didn't even know Alex, but they were supposed to be there the day before he died. Why did they do a miracle? Yo, we already know. Everybody knows at this point. We just close our eyes and pretend we don't see that half the pastors are around, and bullshit. We know this. But again, it's not the time. There's so many things I want to do in a normal day, but I'm like, you know what? No, I can't be dancing even if I want to praise God that I'm alive. I can't be dancing when there's still kids in the forest, That's how I feel. And a lot of you even attack someone like Vicky James, like, oh my God, why did she post her child? That one, I don't even know how I feel, People celebrate in different forms. Maybe she wasn't aware. For example, me, I knew Alex, but I didn't even know when the service of songs were. And mind you, that wasn't even his funeral. It wasn't his funeral yet. Let a man go in peace with his last wishes without judging and breaking it down. And I understand why his friends are coming out defending, because it was so distasteful what you did, and you should know better. Age is there for a reason, but I'm telling you, sometimes I think we get carried away. I guess when we get publicity, and may God slap me if ever my page gets to 1 million and I start acting like I do not have sense. May God just slap me bitterly then. We need to do better as people. It's not your place to discuss what a man's last wishes were. Keep his life private. There's no need for the rest.